Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the UBC podcast. In my earlier post, I mentioned how if resumes were to go obsolete, how optimized is your LinkedIn profile today? Because there's a growing shift in recruiters and other industry professionals actually looking at candidates' LinkedIn profiles to evaluate what kind of culture fit would they be or how well would they fit within this role. In today's episode, we'll be reviewing a couple of LinkedIn profiles to give you some real-time feedback on how you can optimize your LinkedIn profile for a better career. And to do that with me today, I have an awesome guest named Sarah. Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Hi, I'm Sarah. Super happy to be here. I'm an HR professional. I've previously worked as a recruiter at one of the big banks here in downtown Toronto. And I love helping students and young professionals. I think LinkedIn is just so important. So really excited to dive in today.
So let's dive right into it with the first profile.
Yeah, sounds great. So taking a look at it, I just want to say right off the bat, I absolutely love the header that this person has created. I can see seeking co-op opportunities for summer 2022. Data scientist, data analytics, and machine learning engineer. I just want to say right off the bat, absolutely love that because it's really clear what this person is looking for. Because this header is the thing that pops up when someone is commenting on posts, adding you as a connection. It's really the first thing that most people see before they click on your profile. The only thing I will say is that it might be a little bit long because sometimes when it's this long, it gets cut off. So I might want to change that to seeking summer 2022 co-op, and then go straight into data scientist so that if you've commented on a post, it doesn't get cut off before data scientist because that piece is really important because it talks about what industry you're looking for. Okay, diving into the about section. I love this. Again, right off the bat, it's very clear what this person is seeking. I am seeking summer 2022 data science internships and would love to connect with you. I love this sentence because it shows a little bit of personality. You know, I always like to say that your LinkedIn profile should be everything that's on your resume, plus more about you and who you are, show your personality and that kind of thing. And I think this really does that. I think the only thing I would change about this is you might want to have like a little bit more of a hook or something in that first sentence that's like interesting or kind of gets people reading. Something that I've seen students do, and I think it's a bit of a trend in the last year or so, is I've seen students actually add emojis in their about section. Personally, I'm a big fan. I love it when students do that because it's interesting, it's eye-catching, it adds color to your LinkedIn profile. And you don't have to fill it up with tons and tons of emojis, but using them as like a bullet point or using one at the beginning or something like that can just add a little bit more personality, and then it just catches your eye and makes you want to keep reading. All right, so let's see. Customer experience representative at Canadian Tire, junior data scientist, and summer intern. Okay, love it. I like the fact that this person is using bullet points. I'm a big fan of bullet points. I think they're much better than paragraphs because recruiters are skimming your LinkedIn just like they're skimming your your resume. There's kind of the stat that everyone talks about is that a recruiter will look at your resume for an average of 6 seconds. Pretty similar with LinkedIn. They're skimming. I like the fact that this person is using bullet points. You want to make sure that you're keeping the tenses consistent. So maybe adjust a couple of these sentences here and there. And then I noticed the under junior data scientist, it's all in bullet points except for a few. So we've got POC. That kind of first sentence isn't a bullet point. Maybe just try to keep that like a little bit more consistent and try to shorten the sentences up a little bit. And then summer intern, I just see that last one. There's no bullet points. I think that when you don't put that information, you're actually really doing yourself a disservice. Because for me, if I'm looking at this, especially because it's international experience, this is in India, I don't know what M-Tutor is. It could be, I'm guessing, a tutoring company, but it could be something completely different. I have no idea. So not putting in that information is kind of doing yourself a bit of a disservice. And I see a lot of students doing this when it's international experience because sometimes students think, well, it's less relevant or whatever, but it doesn't matter where you did it. Experience is experience. So put those bullet points in, talk about what you did to really showcase that experience as well. Awesome. So they've got a bachelor's degree of technology, and then a postgraduate certificate and another postgraduate certificate. Okay, this person is lots of education under their belt. That's awesome. Again, I'm seeing like kind of different formatting here. So we've got courses include programming, Python, SQL, but then for Durham College, we've got kind of a different style of bullet point there. And then under the Bachelor of Technology, that last piece of education, again, it's each piece of education here is a different format in how they're listing the information. Try to keep it consistent. And I would say keep it consistent to how you listed the information under your experience as well. So if you're using bullet points, just do bullet points all the way through. It's just easier. 17, wow. That's awesome. Obviously, lots of education here. With LinkedIn, it can be kind of tough because you actually can't rearrange the order of your licenses and certificates. For me personally, I have a few licenses and certificates that were more relevant, but I did them maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, so they show up a little bit later on my LinkedIn. So for me personally, I've actually taken off a couple of those certificates from my LinkedIn because I want the more relevant ones to show up. And then in tailoring my resume, when I go to apply for jobs, then I put in whatever licenses and certificates are relevant. But again, if someone's looking for specific skills and they think you might have it, they'll probably just click that see all button.
Yeah, love it if you could summarize what you got from looking at this profile.
Yeah, I think what I'm getting from this profile is this person, like, obviously they really value education. They've got lots of education on their LinkedIn. I think the biggest things is just to keep that formatting really consistent and try to shorten some of their sentences. Other than that, I think it's a great profile. They've obviously put some work into it, and they're definitely on the right track.
Now we're moving on to the second profile. Yeah, let's get right to it.
All right, perfect. So profile number 2. So again, I think it's great that in their header, it's really clear that this person is a student. Got computer science plus business at UBC. I love that this person, instead of writing computer science and business at UBC, University of British Columbia, they've made it as short as they possibly can. That is very, very smart because then more information is going to be available. We've got incoming SDE intern at Amazon, kind of showcasing, they've got this great internship coming up, and they're a career advisor. I love it. Yeah. Okay, let's look at their about section. Looking at their about section, I like the fact that they've kind of split it up. They've got like information about them, and then they talk about their technical experience later. What I would do instead is do bullet points for their technical experience because it's easier to skim. Again, recruiters or anyone looking at your profile, they're not going to spend like 5 minutes looking through and reading all of this information. So you can easily turn that paragraph about your technical experience into bullet points, and then more people are going to read it and understand what your technical experience is. Again, I would make the that first sentence a little bit more exciting. And then the other thing I will note, they've featured their resume. I think that's very, very smart. That featured section is something that a lot of people don't use, but if you're actively posting on LinkedIn, add those posts to the featured section of your profile. I recommend having 1, 2, or 3 kind of your best posts. It shows that you're engaged on LinkedIn. It shows that you've got lots going on. And in this situation, recruiters can really easily find their LinkedIn or their resume because a lot of recruiters are going to see you on LinkedIn. The first thing they're going to ask for is, can I have your resume? Well, it's easy there. Looks really good. Again, though, I will say I prefer bullet points. Not everyone agrees with me on this one, but again, they're just so much easier to skim. And the formatting is inconsistent because you've got teaching assistant, there's no information, but under career peer advisor, you do have information. Well, to me, this looks like a promotion. So the teaching assistant information should be even more relevant. Just add a couple of bullet points. I like to say between 3 and 5 is a good number. But I mean, the sentences are fine too. I like that this person is using measurable words. Like, I assisted in a large-scale agile project to revamp client-facing wealth services. Very specific. We can kind of understand what this person is doing. And you want to give like as much detail as you can. But again, if you had bullet points, I would probably read all of it. Whereas, working in the enterprise data office, I was exposed to, and then it kind of goes on. I think people are less likely to finish that sentence when they're in a bit of a rush. Licenses and certifications. Again, I think it's great you've got that listed. And then a few things I will note that I noticed were missing from this is that this person didn't have any recommendations on their page. So obviously this person has a lot of work experience. They've done a couple of different internships. They've done some volunteer experience. What I would recommend to this person is on your LinkedIn page, there's a spot for recommendations. You can click that little add button and request recommendations from people. It's not a big ask. You're typically asking someone to write just a couple of sentences about why they thought you were great to work with, or, what it was like to work under you, that kind of thing. Those recommendations can actually really go a long way. And when you're a student and you're doing like all these different internships and you're doing all this volunteer experience, it's a really great time to build up some of those recommendations on your LinkedIn page because once you graduate, now you've got recommendations from big companies that everyone knows, like Scotiabank, this person worked at EY, that kind of thing. So having those recommendations from professionals can really go a long way. Okay, volunteering. Again, this person's done tons of volunteer work. I think that's great. Again, add that information so that we know what you were doing, because co-op president, that's a really big, co-president at the Co-op Student Association. That's a big role. Like when you're a student and you're doing internships and you're being a leader in a club like this, that takes so much time management skills, that takes dedication, that takes passion. Our managers love to see that kind of stuff. So showcase it as much as you possibly can and talk about what you did. So again, 3 to 5 bullet points of what you did in that experience would really go a long way. Something that some people might not know is that when recruiters are looking to find people, let's say let's say I'm a recruiter, I posted a job, not enough people have applied. I'm going to go on LinkedIn and I'm going to do some sourcing, which is essentially trying to find people and saying, hey, I've got this job. Are you interested in? The way that recruiters find people is they search using skills. So there's a different kind of LinkedIn page that recruiters access. It's just called LinkedIn Recruiter. And they search people based on location, sometimes based on the companies they've worked for in the past, and often based on the skills that they have. So adding in as many skills as you can is just going to make your profile a lot more visible.
I think you covered everything with this profile and it was super detailed. I appreciate that. I was just wondering, do you want to again quickly summarize? I think you kind of touched on that summary bit almost towards the end, but did you want to summarize this profile and what do you thought of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it looks great. Again, kind of similar to the last one where it's a really, really great start. Like they have so much great information, obviously lots of great experience. That consistent formatting piece is really important. Again, if I haven't said this enough, bullet points. Other than that, I think it looks really great. And then, of course, something that we didn't include in either of these is making sure you have a nice professional looking photo and a professional header as well. So for the photo, it's really easy. I would say like put on a dress shirt or maybe a tie or a blazer if you want to, and just stand against a white wall and have someone take a photo of you. Or maybe you have an existing headshot that you've used in the past. But just having a professional looking photo can really go a long way. And same thing with the header. I like to use the header as a way to show a little bit of your personality or kind of who you are, that kind of thing, and like have a little bit of creativity with it. I'm a big fan of people making custom LinkedIn headers. They're super easy to make on like Canva. I've got one. I made it in like 5 minutes on Canva. There's a million different templates.
So I also know that you're working on your podcast that's going to be out soon. Or do you want to tell the people watching this video what that podcast is going to be about and when it's going to come out?
Yeah, thank you so much. So it has just launched. So my podcast is called Jumpstart. If you want to check it out, it's available on pretty much everywhere you get podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. If you just search Jumpstart Careercast. The whole reason why I made that is because when I was working as a recruiter, I felt like sometimes the recruitment process can be very vague. Sometimes recruiters don't exactly tell you, what you need to do or what's missing. So I wanted to take the opportunity to take everything that I learned from having been a campus recruiter at one of the big banks and continue providing that really relevant information to students and recent graduates. So check it out, Jumpstart Careercast.
For sure. I'll link the podcast in the description of this video. So make sure you check it out. Definitely reach out to Sarah if you have any questions and you need some guidance. But thank you so much, Sarah, for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to give some real-time detailed feedback to the students. And also thank you so much to everyone for tuning in to the UBC podcast.
Thank you.